It's book time! These are my favorite books! Ah. Hi everybody, it's Sarah and it's book time. It's time to review some books. So I read 2 books, like speed read them for me. So what happens is that I don't have a lot of time to read during the week because I'm in school and now I'm filming and I'm editing and I'm socializing and I'm marketing and I'm introducing myself to people and everybody's got to know my name. And so I don't get a lot of time to read because in my downtime I tend to end up watching YouTube videos. So you have to pardon my sniffle again. I'm still trying to like get over this cold thing, so I'm on decongestants now and I really need to like speed this up because a week from today, which is Monday, I don't think this is gonna get posted until Wednesday, so less than a week from Wednesday I'm getting my wisdom teeth taken out and I don't think that I should be on decongestants and antibiotics and pain medicine. I don't like doing that, so I'm taking the decongestants now so as to try and get over it. And I got my tea, and so appropriately I have my calcifer mug. And I want to know why it's so appropriate, because the books we're reviewing today are Howl's Moving Castle and another book in the Howl series, in case you didn't know that the Howl was a series, is The House of Many Ways. So there is a book in between these 2 books called Castle, I think it's called Castle in the Sky. It might be The Floating Castle. I don't know if it says, because this just says a sequel to Howl's Moving Castle, which I mean, it is, but there's one in between. And I have read that one before. I'm not a huge Castle in the Air. And you can see from right here, it shows Castle in the Air. Whoa, that was fun. I have read that one also. I didn't like it as much, and I didn't read it again. Well, first we're going to talk about Howl's Moving Castle, which was written by Diana Wynne Jones and was written in, the cover art says 2008. That's not when the book was written. I should have done my research for this. The book was written in 1986, so it's a couple years younger than me. I think that I have read this book 10 times, probably. Almost as many times as I've read Harry Potter. And I read Harry Potter, the entire series, twice a year. So I've read this book a lot. I saw the Studio Ghibli Miyazaki movie. I'll try and put a little cap right here so you can be reminded of what it is. And the book and the movie are both excellent. I love them. They're pretty different. The characters are the same. Howl is still the same. Sophie is still the same. Calcifer, for the most part, is still the same. Michael's very different. In the movie, he's a child, and in the book, he is 15 or 16. So he's like a teenager, he's an apprentice, and you find out a lot more about Michael, who he is, where he came from. You find out his backstory. And you also find out Howl's backstory, because it's in the movie they don't really go into where Howl is from, so you kind of assume that he's from the same land as Sophie and Michael, but he's not. He's from a different land. And I don't want to give any spoilers, so I won't tell you where he's from. But the book, if you liked the movie, I really think that you'll love the book and you can love them separately. Because the book is a lot like the movie, but it goes much more in depth until about halfway through, and then the movie and the book deviate completely. The way the movie ends and the way the book ends are completely separate. What happens to the Witch of the Waste in the book is different than what happens to the Witch of the Waste in the movie. And so that's really great. It gives you, like, if you were kind of like the movie, kind of just like out at the end, the book does not do that. It's a lot happens. You find out how the Witch of the Waste got her power. You go to the Witch of the Waste castle. There's a ton of extra characters. There's Prince Justin. There's the Withered Solomon, who are 2 different characters. In the movie, the Withered Solomon is like an older woman. They merged her and the Wizard Solomon to make characters. And they do that a lot in movies. You know, they bring characters together to make things easier. It also happened in the City of Bones book by Cassandra Clare. And they merged some characters in that too. And, you know, whatever. You gotta do what you gotta do. So this book, Howl's Moving Castle, I would give 10 out of 10 stars. I know that some of my friends have read it and they maybe didn't love it as much as I did, but I love it. I love Howl. I thought that maybe that I would not love him as much the second time I read it, but no, I still love it. I love stories about vain, silly men who end up being good people and who end up working really hard and loving their family and dedicating themselves to their family and doing things like this. This is part of the reason why I love Sirius Black so much, because you get kind of this vibe from Sirius Black as well. And he is my all-time favorite Harry Potter character. He is the reason why it took me so long to finish one of the books. You know what? Okay, this book has been out for a long time. He is the reason why it took me so long to finish Order of the Phoenix. Because I whipped the book across the room and I refused to read it for probably like a month. And then my friend was like, you know what? I'm not talking to you anymore until you finish reading this book. So I finally did. It was good. I'm gonna sip my tea. We're gonna see if this helps. I don't have like a bad throat or anything. I just really wanted some tea. Citrus green tea, perhaps? Anyways, so the other book is A House of Many Ways, which you may not have heard of because there is not a movie of this. There's also not a movie of Castle in the Air, but whatever. So this book is the newest book in the Howl series, and let me find out what year it was written. This one's newer. This one was written in 2008. So this one is much newer, and I realized that this was 8 years ago. I really hope she writes another one. She's still alive. She could do it. Is she still alive? I hope so. Anyway, so House of Many Ways follows Charmaine Baker, who is I'm going to say also like a 15, 16-year-old girl who gets volunteered to watch her wizard uncle's house while he's away getting cured from his disease, which you find out what the disease is. I'm not going to tell you because that's like a spoiler. And so she's got to go. She's never been on her own. She's never lived anywhere but with her parents, who only let her do proper things. So she's never washed her own clothes. She's never cooked for herself. She has never packed a bag. She doesn't know how to take care of herself in any way because her parents have always taken care of her. And so what Charmaine really wants is just to read books. And sometimes this gets annoying because after a while you're like, Charmaine, grow up. You can't read books all day. But she's a kid, you know, so she's really excited to watch her wizard uncle's house because this is an opportunity for her to get out and do something besides what's proper, to go and live her life. So she writes a letter to the king and asks the king if she could please go work in his library. She doesn't tell her parents. She doesn't do any of that. She figures, well, I'm out on my own now. I'll just do what I want. So she goes to watch her uncle's house, and of course her uncle is a wizard, and we find out that his house is magical. So here's Charmaine, never done anything for herself, now living in a magical house. So the book centers around her going to help the king and the queen, or the king and the princess, rather, in their library, and learning how to do that thing, and also her trying to take care of this magic house and finding out that she herself is magic. So she learns a lot about the House of Many Ways. That's what it's called. And she learns a lot about herself, and she does grow up throughout the book. And even though this book is about Charmaine, Howl and Sophie are in about 3/4 of it. So they're side characters in all the other books besides Howl's Moving Castle. So in this one, Sophie and Howl have been charged to help the king and the princess solve a mystery. So they show up, they're trying to solve a mystery, they're asking Charmaine for help. So Charmaine, who is called Charming through most of the story. So Charmaine is working with Kelsfer, she's working with Howl, who's undercover, and he's working with Sophie, who understandably is incredibly frustrated with the entire situation. Because Sophie's really the only grown-up in all of these books. She's the only one that's like, you know what, maybe we shouldn't do this. And that doesn't always work out for her. She doubts herself a lot. So if you're the kind of person who really thinks that maybe you can't do anything because you were born into a certain life, or you don't think you're very smart, or you don't think you're very creative, the Howl books are great, because Sophie at the beginning is like, well, I'm the oldest child, I'm not meant to do anything with my life, I'm just gonna have a boring life, and she ends up having an exciting and amazing life, and you can too. Anyone can. I realize I hate when people are like, go live your life, go jump off a cliff, go do this. You gotta work, you gotta keep the bills paid, you gotta keep the lights on, but that doesn't mean that you can't find other time in your life to do other exciting things. And I know that sometimes that seems incredibly hard. I know how hard it seems. And there are gonna be some days where you're like, no, I can't do this, and that's fine. But you can find little ways to make your life more exciting. I promise. And Sophie finds a huge way to make her life more exciting because she jumps into a magic castle. Only magic castles were real. I would jump immediately into the first moving castle I saw if they were real. I would go to Hogwarts. I would, I can't think of other fantasy books. I don't think I would hang out with the Lord of the Rings people. Those guys seem like they have a lot of stuff going on. I would go to the terrible Cassandra Clare Institute, be a shadow hunter. Maybe I'll talk about those books at a different time. I'm not gonna go into it. I have read all of them. So I would give this book like an 8 out of 10, just because Charmaine does get annoying at some point. She's just, I just want to read. And I'm like, if you get a job at the library, you don't get to just sit and watch the entire time. All right, so my thingy is blinking at me, which means I'm about to run out of space, so I'm gonna say goodbye to you. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. The new channel, very excited. Definitely review more books, and I love you guys so much. All right, bye.